Hello, everybody. How is everyone? How is everyone? Hope everybody's okay. Check if everything's all right. Thing looks good there. Pretty cool. So that's good. Cheers. And we are back after a month. Man, that passed so fast. I don't know what happened. It's some kind of time warp. It's just crazy. Guess it's always like that when we take vacations from stuff that we do. I'll talk about a little bit about what I did radio wise and what I didn't. And we're going to we might have a shorter show than usual tonight because I woke up very early this morning. It's been actually a vacation of hospitals, not for me, but my friend that I'm taking care of is waiting for an operation. It's been waiting for a while. And now things are kind of going like really fast. But for that, you have to meet 6 different people. So we got like tons of appointments and mostly early in the morning, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. This morning was 7 a.m. So a little tired, but hey, things are moving. At least something's happening. So I think I'm hearing RWM on 9996. We're going to talk about solar activity a little bit because it's kind of ramping up this week. So here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday/Thursday edition of the Shortwave live show. We are here twice a week, and we weren't for the last month, but now we are back twice a week. And of course, we talk about radio. So shows are on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Wednesday night, North America. 0 hours UTC, which is Thursday for a big chunk of the world. And we are Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 20 hours Universal Time. We talk about radio, all sorts of radio, any kind of radio. And we just have fun talking about radio. And that's it. So, of course, there's my name is Jill, located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and northeast part of North America. There's a beautiful chat room where there's wonderful people there. And there's, you can join in and say hello. And people are really friendly. And I have a lot of fun. Very helpful if you need help in any ways with radio. And when that is over, we have the Facebook group, which is the after party, where it's a very active group. Lots of people posting, lots of people having fun, sharing what they're listening to. And I try to post when I can things that I hear and have fun also with that. So it's kind of fun to have all the activity and see that it's a beautiful group, wonderful group, and fun people to, just share radio and share our passion, which is radio of any kind, be it long wave or medium wave or short wave and so on. So this is the place to be. So chat room, Matt, MDK2 from Denver, Colorado. Nice to have you on board. VE2FGJ. Nice to have you here, my friend. Mark Cope. Nice to have you on board from Dallas, Texas. WA5153SWL. Bobby Burgess, WA5107SWL, Morgan City, Louisiana. Nice to have you here. Robert Cross, nice to have you on board, my friend. Thank you for the tip. Nice to much appreciated. Chris G7VEO, nice to have you on board from the UK. We have Rob, nice to have you here from Phoenix, Arizona. Richard Wagner says, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, a live stream. Nice to have you here from Northern Illinois, 82 degrees. Here it's been, it's about 80 today, roughly 80, not even, maybe 78, but a little bit of humidity, so it feels a little warmer. We have Chuck, nice to have you on board, and 5KVO, South Texas. And we have what do we have? We have. Sorry, guys, I'm sneezing a little bit. I don't have any Kleenex here. I'll try to find something. Patrick, nice to have you on board from Washington. BT Radio, Paul, nice to have you here from Vermont, AA1SU. We have David's Radio Room, nice to have you here. Danny Shortwave Radio DX from Yonkers, New York. We have Francis from Birmingham, UK. Nice to have you here. We have the Blind Picker. Nice to have you here, Rob, from Connecticut, W0RAB, Blindham. Bob, nice to have you here from New Jersey. John, VE5JHN, nice to have you here. Charles Williams, nice to have you here from San Diego. We have Leo Main, nice to have you here. Dr. Sisop, nice to have you on board. Joe, nice to have you here. TVDXer, ça va bien? J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. We're going to talk about the vacation in not long from now. Dr. Sisop, WRMI being jammed. DJW883, nice to have you on board from Southeast Pennsylvania. What else do we have? Yep, the other channel is pretty much always having a lot of stuff being posted. I posted some stuff here too. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Simon Templar, nice to have you on board, my friend. Ralph, nice to have you here from South Jersey. We have James Farley, KD2GUZ, Old Bridge, New Jersey. We have Michael, nice to have you on board. Thank you, Michael, for the good videos. We have yes. Well, actually, I couldn't hear myself. Just couldn't go to. Just didn't have time. I woke up and it was like 90 Fahrenheit and humid, and it's like crazy. I had to go outside for something, and I was like, no, this is way too long for a hot weather. So I took the clipper at number 4, and I just decided to do it myself. I think I've done okay. You know, I mean, it's not professional work, but it's better than nothing. James Binder, nice to have you here. Keegan DXer, nice to have you on board from Northwest Arkansas. Danny Shortwave Radio DX, nice to have you on board. Says, yes, my vacation was way too fast. Studied, also passed my tech exam on Saturday. Congratulations. Almost passed the general. Only study for the tech, so I should get my call sign soon. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. What else do we have? Fred Waterer, nice to have you here, my friend. I was reading your article on in the Spectrum Monitor the other day. I decided to buy the Spectrum Monitor by every month instead of subscribing. I mean, it's not really much more expensive, and I find that, you know, the $3 that you just buy it when you want it is kind of cool. I hate one thing about Spectrum Monitor's way of having the subscriptions, and it's the fact that the subscriptions are, you know, start in January. So unless you subscribe in January, if you subscribe like in July, you actually have the year. And that I don't understand, because I mean, with computers, it's easy to know when a subscriber ends. So um, since I didn't subscribe in December for the January and all of that, I decided, well, you know what? Let's buy it, month by month at $3. So, anyways, always great articles, anyways, from Fred Waterer on the Spectrum Monitor. Johnny Salentino, nice to have you on board from New York City. Don Royale, nice to have you on board from Arizona, WA7330 SWL. Curtis Gump, nice to have you here. Do you know when the Ethon E1 HD satellite radio is going to be out? Should be interesting radio. And he says in Vacationville, California, yesterday, 107 degrees. Yeah, you guys in in California have been having hot weather. And I know that half of Europe is burning, the forests and everything. It's like you guys have been going crazy with the weather. The Ethon is out. I have confirmation that some have received the shipping. I know Ham Radio Outlet have received some. So this is official now. So I guess some of you that have pre-ordered, they should be in soon, because the stores are starting to get the shipments of the Ethon radio. No problem. Nice to have you here, Matt in Denver, MDK2. Mark, nice to have you here, Vancouver, BC, and the West Coast. Watched Danny Shortwave. Watched part of your that you did a live that I stumbled upon one of your lives, and I was watching it the other day. What else do we have? Wii U Radios Tech and Intros channel. So nice to have you here. How come you haven't made a show? And I renamed my channels again, so still call me Gabe's Radio Channel and read my email. I send you a radio website. Make sure you read it. Yeah, I've seen it. I'm just I'm going to continue my series on the websites. On the websites in the next few days. So we're gonna get across yours too. So yeah, well, that's a good mix. It's a lot of technology. Wii U, radios, tech, intros, channels. Cool. So so I was on vacation for the last month. Oh man. Fred Water, my allergies are going overtime. Yeah, not that much allergy, but you know what? In the past week, I've been sneezing a lot, more than usual. So I guess it must be some form of allergy kind of kicking in. Chris G7VEO says radio signal time on 60 kilohertz MSF radio time. Not sure if it would reach you. No, probably not. Here on 60, I never hear anything, and I've got this real big buzz, anyways, on 60 kilohertz, which prevents me to hear most of what I hear. And even the clocks that I have that were the one that I have that are like synchronizing with that signal. Oh man, I have to like put them in really exotic places in order for them to actually synchronize. Here on the east for WWVB on the west, it's far away, so the signal is much weaker. So it's more difficult to. But anyways, on the computer, when I look at the 60 kilohertz frequency, it's pretty much a big buzz for me. So not much coming through there. Dave, middle-aged boomer. Nice to have you here in 2DS from New York. We have Dripping Glass. Thinking of getting the ICOM R8600. Does anyone have one? Would you recommend it? I know there are some people that have it. I know that it definitely, a good radio for what it is. I'll let people that have it maybe talk about it. I find that it's too expensive for what it does, but I know that most people that have it seem to love their radio, the 8600. Storms, radios, and cats. But you know what? If you want one, I think it's much more to um, much more. If you want one, you just want one and get one. That's all. I mean, if you got the money and you've been thinking about it and want one, there's 60 radios. Michi, nice to have you here. G0TUE. Oops, I lost my spot. Need to look at the time. We have so G0TUE, nice to have you here. Fred Waters says, I usually joke that Canadian summer is my favorite week of the year, but it's been a hot one. Yeah, here it's not been the hottest summer we've had, but it's been a nice summer. It's one of those summers where it's one of those summers that is enjoyable. We didn't have really a lot of very hot days. We did during my vacation time have 3 or 4 days of really hot, muggy, but this year has been relatively kind of very seasonal and normal. Not too much really hot, humid weather. So it's not been too bad here in Montreal. July's been kind of even on the cool side at times. August until now is actually pretty nice, actually much better than July was for us here in southern Quebec. What else do we have? RJDA Dakota, nice to have you here. WA0113SWL. We have Dr. Sisup. Seen a new Ethon when I stopped in California. Not impressed with it at all. It's $5.99 at HRO, so I guess everybody's gonna kind of be in a $5.99 pretty much. We're gonna have to wait for the tests and see. I'm thinking what I'm gonna do. If I buy it from a U.S. source, I will pay 1,000 Canadian dollars for it. For the price plus the shipping plus the Canadian dollar is like really, really in the doldrums. So no, Dr. Sisop HR is selling it for $5.99. In the doldrums, and Universal has it $5.99 also. So buying a radio from the US here is always a very complex thing. Even getting a free radio from the US is a complex thing because you got to pay the taxes. Canadian dollar is like almost at 30% difference. So that means that a $5.99 radio, add shipping, add 30% exchange, add add to that the taxes I'll pay because I'll be charged the taxes. That's past $1,000 here, which is a lot of money. $1,000 for a radio. So we're gonna see what we're gonna do. I'm not counting that I might not have one. I might have one. I'm thinking about it. I know that it'd be fun to have one to test out here. So cross your fingers. What else do we have? Rum, like your haircut. Yeah, Mr. Paul. Actually, that's why I was just a little late. Mr. Paul wanted to have his little moment before I started the show, and then he went to bed. Simon Templar series on the websites is most excellent. Thank you very much. Salut Vince, j'espère que tu vas bien. Nice to have you here from just outside of Montreal. Kamikaze 1976 from West Michigan. Nice to have you here. I wouldn't say it's not worth it at all. We haven't tried it yet, and it does have higher end features like IF passband tuning. It has selectable automatic gain control, things we don't see on a regular portable. It's supposed to have good sound. It has RDS North America. It has DAB Plus elsewhere. I don't know. It's got a big display. It's got a lot of bells and whistles. I don't know. It's expensive. I'm not going to say that it's not worth it at all. I would say it's expensive, and especially in today's market of radio. So, what else do we have? What else do we have? Simon is going to borrow an Elite satellite here and work and let you know. Yeah, it depends on its performance. It's supposed to have a very high dynamic range, which would put it closer to a desktop. Once again, they're trying to position it as the ultimate portable. Kind of interesting. I mean, it is very complete with everything that most want, plus added features like the passband tuning, like the AJC, um, high dynamic range. It's really positioned as a high end portable, and the only, I guess, really the thing that will decide if it is really playing with it and listening to shortwave. What else do we have? Danny, shortwave radio DX. So take a general in late October, studying for it now. Missed passing the general exam by 7 questions. So not bad. You should get it. Just missed by 7 questions. You should be okay. So yeah, Don. That's always a problem with the newer radios. With all their bells and whistles, electronics and firmwares. It's to note if it has and it's been well thought of, and if it's been well designed from the start without having to, if you have some bug somewhere in the firmware that does some weird things. Let's hope that they've been able to, even on the first, say it's like the St. Gian ATS 909X2. What a load of crap when you think that a radio of that price could not have been perfect out on the first run. I get it that it's complex to design these sophisticated radios, but how can you miss out on certain things and need to have people sending their radios back for a firmware update to fix things? It should not even be on the first run. So, I kind of go crazy over that. King and the Xer turned 26 on the 14th. Wow, that's half my age. So happy birthday. For his birthday, Dad W9JF gave me 3 ARRL books: Basic Antennas, first edition; Basic Radio, Understanding Basic Electronics, second edition. These are great. I love those books. It's so much fun. One of the things I did when I was having a lot of fun with radios over times and over the years was having these books and listening to whatever radio and looking at the basic electronics or the basics of radio, and learning how it works, learning all the magic behind of the electronics of what you have. So I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun with that. And it's going to bring you nearer to eventually getting your hand license also, Keegan. So you know hang in there and go and get that hand license after you have the knowledge. These books are bringing you very close to the knowledge already. So what else do we have? Dr. Sissop, Alaska was interesting on shortwave, never got WTWW 5085. Did get 9940. WRMI 7780 was the only one that came in. 9395 was quiet. Yeah, well, they have patterns. I know that some of the WRMI frequencies are for the East Coast. And so those might not make it very well in the West. Robert Cross got a question. Will medium wave radio stations staying on the air for a long time? Because in Europe, talking about closing down radio stations, do you think that wrong thing radio stations are going? Well, in Europe, there's a lot of countries shutting down medium wave and long wave for those that have it. A lot of them are moving to, Europe is kind of more advanced than here in the DAB and the digital broadcasting. And it is sad that they're removing the medium wave in some way, because medium wave does have a really good coverage. I believe one of the things I was thinking of a couple of weeks ago was, you might want to move on the technology and remove some stuff and get some digital radio stations on the air. Okay. But I think every country should keep at least one medium wave, one powerful medium wave to cover the country, because those stations, just one antenna, one radio, one transmitter, and your cover is so large. And it's kind of crazy seeing that a lot of these stations here in North America, a medium wave is in a state of what are we going to do? Here in North America, medium wave is still quite alive. The problem isn't that it's missing stations. There's still a lot of stuff out there. And do a band scan at night, there's tons and tons of stations everywhere. The thing is, medium wave, what might not help in the future, we talked about it in the International Radar Report the other day, that there was the new electric cars. A lot of electric cars don't want to put AM radios because the electronics of the car makes so much noise that AM radios don't work. So a lot of them are like, oh, well, we'll put FM and satellite radio in there. Yeah, I'm hearing, by the way, guys, 9996 RWM Moscow time signal on 9996. So is it dying? There are less medium wave stations over time, every year, definitely. But I'm not in the category that they're dying yet, or the AM band is dying. But it is in a state of what are we going to do? But because there are really profitable stations on it, medium wave. Look at WCBS in New York. Its coverage and the way that it brings news and everything, that station racks in cash like crazy. And it covers a huge area. So there are some of them, the dominant big stations, a lot of them are still making a lot of money. And so, they should stay there. The small stations are the ones that are being hit hard. The small stations, and the fact that a lot of people are moving away from medium wave and want to have better quality, so they go to FM and listen to their local stations on FM band. Definitely an interesting future, but it's not tomorrow morning. that you will have the death of medium wave. I think in 50 years, it's still going to be a lot of stations on the medium wave band. I don't see the stations going away, really. There might be less, and there might be more of the dominant, powerful ones, but there will definitely be quite a lot. You know what's the death of radio? And I mentioned that on the International Radio Report. What's killing medium wave is not the band itself. You know what's killing medium wave? The crappy content we hear on radio. I mean, tune around all of the frequencies at night on medium wave. Darn, there's so much crap on those frequencies, and so many repeats. You'll have 15 frequencies with the same program. Um, Really, the content is a problem, not necessarily the medium wave band itself. Any shortwave, yeah. Well, you got to pay the local taxes because they want you to. There's a lot of discussions here. There's been a lot of it in the past couple of years about the fact that everything you buy online. Like, just look for an example. When I buy stuff on Amazon, it isn't always taxed in the same way, because here in Quebec we have the Quebec sales tax, and there's Canada that has its sales tax. So the sales tax amount to 15.5% here in Quebec. So if I buy something $100, it's going to cost me 115 and 50. But what's happening is that the some retailers with the way that they actually deal, like Amazon, sometimes you pay only one tax, just a federal one, or or just a Quebec one, and a lot of people are like, well, no, we should be paying all the sales tax, all the sales tax. So what happens is that um, they're kind of going after you, trying to a lot of stuff here. So if you buy on eBay, you're not, because it's always a question of what goes through the border. So if I buy, if somebody on eBay or whatever sells something $1,000, there's no taxes on eBay. But if you have a retailer or an official retailer, every official store retailer has the sales tax. They have to charge it online. And if I buy from the United States, anything above $50 of value, I'll have to pay the taxes for the value of the item. So what they do is they go and look at how much that thing is worth. And what's the worst part of it, and that's where it's crazy. For example, when I got my Yaesu FT450, which was a free radio, was given to me, what happened? I had to pay $140, $140 of taxes for a used transceiver. I mean, you for something new, I get it, but if I'd go to a flea market or a ham fest and buy the transceiver myself, I would not have to pay taxes on that. But even if it's used, you have to pay the taxes for the value of the item, which is crazy. PBRCG, nice to have you here from the Northern Green Mountains of Vermont. Pirate Station on 6925, heard in Denver. Let's go down slowly. So we have the DAV function is only in the markets, Dr. Sissa. So the California one would not have DAB. The California one would have HD radio. It's if you buy it in the market where DAB is, you get the DAB version. So, for example, in Europe, they're going to ship a DAB version. In North America, they're shipping the HD version. It doesn't have both in the radio. It has one or the other, as stipulated in the manual, from what I understand. G0TUE says, I think you're talking yourself into it. Pirates 6870 upper sideband booming in, says James Farley. Sir Maximus Hardwood, nice to have you here. Yep, 17th of August was the date, so it's tonight. And the Saturday is going to be interesting, you guys. I'm going to talk about it in a few minutes. Actually, there's quite a few things we're going to talk about. Mark Fisher, nice to have you here from Southern Illinois. What else do we have? G0TUE, fancy the Texan H501X radio, over a $1,000, real expensive for a receiver. Yeah, I would guess you would have the bells and whistles, and the performance should be darn good for that price for sure. Brian Penny, nice to have you on board from just over the border in the Adirondack Mountains of New York, hiking the wilderness for 2 weeks. No RFI. Love the do, by the way. So yeah, it's you're not that far away. You're not that far away, and that's pretty cool. Having fun there. I wish I had time for something like that. K6YYL, Kimberly, nice to have you here from California. Minji, why don't more radios have UTC time display like Ethon Traveler? I'd rather not have clocks on a radio burning up batteries unless I'm able to utilize the UTC. Well, for most radios, all you have to do is just punch in UTC time on the clock, and that's it. It's just because what you have with the Ethon Traveler is because they have that fancy knob that you can switch between local and UTC. I get what you mean with that, and it's an interesting feature, definitely. But what I do with all the other radios that don't have that, I just put all the clocks in UTC, and that's it. Bruce Corbett, N9BH, nice to have you here. Listening to the 70s LP, Long Live Shortwave on YouTube. Cool. Danny Shortwave, between the ham radio, prep phone, HAP, QRZ, and ham test online. That is enough practice to pass a test. I had bought a book, and I barely read the book. It's like here, when I passed my test. Honestly, I probably would have passed it without having the course at all. And but you know what? I thought that it was a good thing to get the the course and to get the book, because even if you know a lot, if you have a lot of knowledge, I think you still learn a lot of stuff that you didn't know. So Francis Moore, what is it compatible with a ARO ARDV10? What is compatible? Can you just I think I'm missing a part of the question here, Francis. Sir Maximus Harwood can get WCBS in Detroit at night in the winter, very sporadically in the summer. Here it's in Montreal, WCBS is dominant. VD Radio says was next to an electric city bus in traffic, and it wiped out the AM radio signal in the vehicle. Yeah. Almost no one wants to put Almost no one wants to put AM radios in electric cars for that reason. Storms, radios and cats, 4840. I wonder if this is a major medium wave station. No, it's WWCR in Nashville, Tennessee. 4840 is always very strong. And it's WWCR in Nashville, Tennessee that you're hearing there. It's not an image. RGDA Dakota. I know KMOX has simply a huge footprint at night, especially. Yep. Oh, compared with the new Ethon. It's not in the same league because what you are referring to, I believe, is a wideband receiver. So it's not in the same league. The Ethon is much more of a really long wave, medium wave, short wave, portable with airband capability. So they're kind of different radios. It's difficult to really compare those. Simone, nice to have you on board. Danny Shortwave, heard Brother Stair riding through the Amtrak train in Georgia on FM. He's on every medium wave. And he's paid the last Ask WWCR show. He's paid 1 year on WWCR from the grave. So apparently the Overcomer Ministry has paid a full year to WWCR to stay on the air. So they got a lot of money. Robert Cross, that's cool. Repairing and putting back to life vintage radios. We need more people like that because, we got to keep those old radios alive, and it's a form of recycling at the same time, and it's kind of cool. What else do we have? Dr. Sisap, here everything that crosses the border is taxed when it's more than $50. I don't know how they check it out, but they definitely check it out. And you can't fool them. You can't say on the box it's a gift. They're going to charge you the taxes anyway. Mitch, nice to have you here from Buckeye, Arizona. Joseph, nice to have you on board from the coast of Central California. Nice to have you here. Nice to be back. What else do we have? Keegan DXer often gets stations from Toronto and Tulsa on 740 at night. UDX 294, nice to have you here from East Tennessee. Newbie to shortwave, well, you're at the right place. Matt, speaking of the conditions, still K index of 6. Be cool to see some auroras, but I'm pretty sure I'm still too far south, even if I go out of town. You know what? If it gets worse, because I'm going to just check out here. I got an app. Got an app on my phone that I downloaded, which I find kind of cool. Let me just find it here. Space Weather. So it's the Space Weather Live app. If you guys have an Android phone, I don't know if it's available on an iPhone. Very nice interface to give you solar activity immediately. So here you have the K index 6 right now, and you have they'll show you the aurora map. They'll show you the hemispheric power and how everything is being. So you see all the red right now where there's a lot of power going on with all this stuff. They give you all the different graphs that you can get for the geomagnetic activity, chances of high, mid latitude geomagnetic storming, and so on. And there's forecasts. A really nice app. Check that out, and it updates very, very regularly. And you can click solar activity. Gives you the map of the sun with all the sunspots. And all the different sunspots and flaring going on and so on. So check it out because there's already some pretty bad activity right now. At K index is 6. Here in Montreal, I know one thing is the K index needs to be about 8 in order for auroras to be bright enough to be visible in the city. Because here the problem is light pollution. But you know what, Matt? I would keep an eye even at your latitude, especially if the K index ever goes higher than this. You never know. You never know. If I don't know how bright your sky is though where you are in Denver, but if you're a little bit suburb or a little bit in where it's a little more darkness. So Joe says it's available for iPhone. So space weather, check that out. It's a nice app to have on your phone with all the information about solar activity. What else do we have? Mitch says the 11-meter band going well in Arizona. What else do we have? Thomas Olson, been caretaker for my friend, my wife, since April. She's getting better now. Hope to be back soon, at least on a minimum basis. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah, here it's we're waiting for an operation for my friend, which should, we had the pre-op tests today, so that's why we had to be there very early. So we're gonna cross our fingers that the operation gets fast because it possibly gonna help him. Glenn, nice to have you here. VT Radio's got the EQSL for VE6 SWL. Totally forgot to look for VE2 AQP on 40 on July 31st. You'll have more chances. We're working on so there's going to be a barbecue out west where for several days there's going to be something happening at the Sherwood Park and Lamont, Alberta headquarters there. There's something that is going to happen in September for the anniversary of the 60th anniversary of the CIDX Club. So I did say that I would reactivate VE2 AQP during that weekend. So hang in there. You still have a chance of getting VE2 AQP. James recently found his channel after buying a new radio to replace my 20-year-old one that died. Been away from shortwave for quite a while, so I'm doing a lot of refreshing. You're at the right place. It's a great place to learn more. Mike Jam, nice to have you here. Glenn, so you're at the hospital for the virus. Oh man, hope you're gonna get better soon. Hope you're gonna get better soon, my friend. Here I got it. I got COVID on the first week of June. Felt like hell for about 48 hours, then came back quite fast. But there was something lingering that kind of stayed for several weeks after that. So do take care of yourself, Glenn. What else do we have? Let me just go down. Yeah, there is a Space Weather Live website, and they have an app. I guess it's their app. It's the same thing, but in an app form. So Glenn says, plus moving next week from Ohio to Tennessee. That's a lot of stuff happening at the same time. Take care, my friend. Harvey Funkenstein, nice to have you here. Big Ross tomorrow. Yeah, maybe even tonight. I mean, the sun has been unleashing. There's this sunspot that's been unleashing flare after flare after flare. It's crazy. So it's going to be interesting to check out. Dean, KQ4ADG, nice to have you on board. So what else do we have? Denny Shortwave just downloaded on the Android phone. Dr. Sisup, FM in Alaska is not good. Sirius XM satellite radio got no signal there as they changed their paths. Simone, I followed your advice and bought a K180 WLA to get the VHF and also in UHF. It works very well. I was impressed anyway. I'm a late 30 wins on HF. So, the K180 WLA, I know that a lot of you have been, um, asking me about it. And I know that there's apparently a new version that has the filter that you can actually activate to remove the FM band, the FM broadcast band from it. Because the K180 WLA would be a fantastic antenna if it wasn't for that overload problem. And I don't use it anymore because of that. But apparently the new one has the capability of switching on the filter. So that's kind of interesting because that could make that antenna pretty good. On VHF, UHF, I was pretty surprised at its performance, honestly. Um, so, K6YYL. No, actually, no vodka tonight. Tonight is just cranberry juice and some sparkling water because I've been kind of lowering my amount of alcohol intake every week. So, nothing bad. I had a checkup and everything's fine, but, talking doctor and it's like, how many drinks a week and so on. Doctor's like, yeah, you should lower your drinks a little bit. So it's like, you know what? I decided what I'm going to do is on the weekdays, or like on the weekday show, it's going to be cranberry juice and, sparkling water. And I'll have my vodka drink on Saturday, the weekend drink. So I think we're going to come back with that. So no alcohol tonight in the drink. Anthony, nice to have you here from the west coast of Florida. What else do we have? Jonathan, nice to have you here from the Philippines. China radio received loud and clear here in all languages. Man, there's a Kiwi SDR in the Philippines on the Kiwi SDR website. I use it all the time to monitor the voice of Korea from North Korea. I mean, the signal's always loud there. At 05 UT they have an English broadcast, and when I'm up at that time, because it's 1 a.m. here, I always go on that frequency and check it out on the Philippines Kiwi SDR. Welcome aboard. Oh, from Tennessee back to Ohio. Okay, Glenn. Kamikaze, have you had your 40th shortwave listening anniversary? No, it's Saturday. This is what I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. It's coming this Saturday. So hang in there, guys. Chris66, nice to have you on board. Thank you for your recent starter videos. There are going to be more of them. And there's going to be a lot more on the tuning with each radio. And I'm going to focus a lot on specific receivers that everybody has, because I had one message maybe 3 weeks ago. I had done one with the XH Data D808, I believe, where I was tuning around, playing around with the functions, switching to single sideband when in the ham bands and utilities, going back to AM, explaining how I tune around with it and so on. And that person said, that video is amazing because even if you explain a function, even if you tell me here's there something else, try a single sideband and play around, you're going to succeed at some point. He said, I tried all of that. I was almost giving up on tuning shortwave with the XH data because I wasn't successful. Your video of playing with it and doing it and me following and pressing the buttons, understanding what you mean, because now you're actually using the radio and explaining as you go. He became an expert with the XH data suddenly. He says, I finally understood tons of things that I never did before. And so that totally made me think of, well, I should do that with every receiver that people have and own, and more than once. Tune different things and different frequency ranges and single sideband, not single sideband, and long wave and medium wave and so on, because there's nothing like watching somebody else do it and tune around with the same radio that you have to to understand how it works. So I'm going to do more. I'm going to do some with the Texan PL330, do some with the Texan PL368 CountyCom GP7 SSB, the St. Jean ATS 909X2, the Texan receivers 990X, and so on. But we're going to do more of that. So, hey, Matt, take care, my friend. Don't forget, Saturday, if you're going to be here, 40th anniversary show for Shortwave Radio. It's going to be an interesting show. I've already started putting down every little thing I want to do. We're going to bring up the DX100. We're going to have talk of what I listened to in the past, my history as a radio listener. I've actually writing down a lot of little things because I want to have my history as a radio listener. Gives you guys an idea how I did radio, what are the moments of radio that I remember that are defining moments that I'll never forget. And so lots of stuff happening. We'll have some audio clips. We'll have all sorts of stuff. So Saturday, 20 hours UTC, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 40th anniversary show. You don't want to miss that, guys. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be it's going to be really, really nice. So, yeah, Dr. Sissa. Yeah, well, I don't have any, I had my blood test done 2 weeks ago. Doctor called me a week ago. Got anything? I don't have anything, abnormal or anything, so things are okay. But taking it easy, especially as you get older. What else do we have? Keegan DXer's got apple juice. That's perfect. RGD Dakota. Must be football, soccer night in Brazil. Yep. They have that a lot. Kimberly, probably a good idea for many of us out here, Joe. You might find more energy and sleeping better without drinking as much. So what else do we have? Wilbur, waiting for a drink of the weekend makes it special. Yeah, absolutely. So absolutely. Different thing. What else do we have? Keegan DXer heard FM stations from Washington State, Oregon on July 22nd. For the first time, 89.1 KFAE in Richland, Washington. KESY, Bigger City, Oregon. Wow, pretty cool. Michael started tonight with ice water and a small glass of wine. Perfect. James, watching a radio in action to learn it sounds like how watching a board game playthrough can help learning the rules. Yep. Hey, Paul from Southwest Michigan. Nice to have you here. We have Fred Waterer says drinking and all the radio talk and getting a nice buzz. Sheila, nice to have you on board from Belleville, Ontario, Canada. Kevin Murray, nice to have you on board from Windy, Wyoming. Yeah, it's nice to be here. Paul, congratulations on slowing down drinking. Did the same recently. Thank you, Robert Cross, for the tip. Nice, much appreciated. So I'm down. I'm completely down. So yep, Saturday is going to be very interesting. I'm putting it in a way that I want to. So you guys are going to learn key moments defining radio. Um, my radios, I've talked about them, but it's a time to reminisce a little bit about the past. Radio stations that I loved, and we'll have some audio clips. Um, we're going to have all the radios and all the types of radios actually that I've used. Also, from not just we're not just going to talk about my shortwave life, but my radio life in general is going to be very interesting. We're going to tune around the DX100, see how good or crappy it is. It's actually crappy when you look at it today. It's pretty crazy. Um, so it's kind of interesting, and it's going to be a nice show, I think, and we're going to have a great moment of nostalgia a little bit at the same time, and just 40 years. The reason why I'm here, realistic DX100, guys, a realistic DX100. Can you imagine that? It's really something that I'm just going to do this. Do this signal. There we go. Here we go. Okay. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to just I can't believe it's 40 years though. I got to say that when I think about the fact that a realistic DX100, and thinking that would have 40 years later I would be doing live shows talking about that. Man, that never would have believed it. What else do we have? Quickly here, going down. Um, mm, 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 mm. RNEI currently on, for those who want to some background music. 5850, 7730. Done. What kind is your UTC clock in the background? This is an old clock from Radio Shack that I purchased way back in what was it? Something in the 90s. Or early 2000. I wanted to have a big clock, and they were selling this thing for $40, which for me was way too expensive. And one day I went by, and they were kind of, they wanted to just have them out of the store. I got it, I think, for $9.99, and I thought it was a nice big clock, and I always keep it in UTC. Chris, learn quicker from YouTube videos than reading manuals. Yeah, a lot of people are like that. Most of my learning is done by reading, but sometimes, even if you've read something and kind of understand it, seeing somebody in action with whatever you were learning is definitely something interesting. It helps. Sometimes it helps you understand something you just didn't grasp at the beginning. Gabriel, nice to have you on board, my friend. What do we have? We're getting down. Mike WX15, nice to have you here. we have Skip. Nice to have you here in 2EI. And welcome back. I'm happy to be back. Minji says our Radio Shack DX100 will be nice. It'll be kind of nice, you know. It's JD Dakota remembers the DX100 used to have the DX160. I believe the DX160. I believe the DX160 was superior though, probably in reception. How's my weather station going? Pretty good. Having a lot of fun and really enjoying the lightning detector particularly. And yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Happy to have it. And all the statistics that go by and the little feeder at the morning, on the board at the border and at the bottom. TFP Teleho Fishing, nice to have you on board. K5ASL from South Mississippi. Got a PL 880 and loving it. Pretty cool. Great radio, honestly. Asteroid coming. Why can I hear anyone on a repeater V2RMP? Probably because no one's going there. Just, if you're a ham, just call. See if anybody comes in. But a lot of repeaters are dead. A lot of repeaters are just have no activity at all. What else do we have? Fred was 17 when started Shortwave listening. Been 44 years of fun. Pretty impressive for a 35-year-old, eh? Oh, man. JD Akota. First shortwave radio, Ford Band Astronaut 4. Oh, man. Pretty cool. Acid Frog, you got my technician and general licenses from watching YouTube videos. Much easier in the books. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got explanation. You often have different people also explaining the different things on different channels. Sometimes one, you might not grasp the concept. You go to another channel and there you'll grasp the concept that maybe you didn't, or it's going to complete your knowledge. Absolutely. It's a great way to have the knowledge to do it. My jam. If an insulated long wire antenna is touching a tree halfway along, is that a big issue? Not really. There's pretty much no interaction with a tree. The only thing that you have to be careful if it's like touching a branch, is to give it enough slack that if it's windy and the branch is pushing the wire so it doesn't snap. Like when I throw a wire on a tree here, I will not, make it rigid. I will always leave it hanging with some slack, because the tree is going to move when it's windy and the wire just follows and it doesn't snap because it's got enough slack to compensate. It never gets rigid enough to snap. But if it's like a tree trunk, something like that, and the trunk doesn't move, it's a big tree. Even if it touches, it doesn't matter. Even if it wouldn't be insulated, would not be that much of a problem. Vegetation in general, like a tree, stuff like that, on a long wire will not cause much of a difference in anything, in general. Skip still has his DX160 in the collection. Cool. They're nice looking radios. There was a guy, if it wasn't the shipping, on eBay the other day, I was looking at old radios. There was a guy selling his DX160 in good working condition. He was asking something like $70 US, And I thought, but then I clicked to see, and shipping was like $80. It's like, no, come on. Shipping is more than the. I know these are big and very heavy, so I know it costs a lot to send them, but still, it's like, okay, no. But if I would see one at a decent price, I probably would say, yeah, let's go. What I'm finding sad is less, because the big problem here is a lot of the things that are shipped from the US are at a price that are just totally crazy. So I'm trying to find radios that are shipped from Canada, but finding vintage radios sold in Canada is getting more and more difficult, actually. Keegan DXer has the Radio Shack DX402 since the early 2000s. Mike WDX50 has his DX160, purchased back in 79. I think that was one of the most popular models Radio Shack ever sold, the DX160. Chris, nice to have you here. James, I had the DX398, so when it stopped working, I decided to go with the ATS 909X2, most recent model in the same line, and it's pretty familiar, though I'm sure I don't know everything about it. Yeah, that's why I'll be using it. I'll be using mine and making videos, because it does have features that the original one doesn't have. And it does have a few bells and whistles that was not in the original for sure. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and I like making these videos and just talking along while I'm using them. Richard Wagner still got his DX300. Danny Shortwave have the DX302, which was my radio after the DX100. Say the DX302 is still a great radio. It ranks up there as one of my favorites in my collection. The DX302 today probably performs better than it did in the 80s, because the DX302 had one big flaw: the dynamic range isn't good. So when a strong signal was in the same band as a weak signal, you would actually have the weak signal being washed out. And that actually is what prevented me from listening to Radio New Zealand for a long time, because the signal was there. But on the same band, there was Radio Canada International that wasn't that far away, that was so strong that it actually just washed out Radio New Zealand. And it took Radio Canada to change frequency for another band to actually have me notice that, oh, look at that. Now that I don't have that big gun powerful thing there, you actually have the possibility of listening to a station. And since the bands are not as crowded as they were before, this is, I think, cool, because now probably it performs better everywhere, since it doesn't have to compete with super strong signals all the time. It might still on some bands, but not as bad as back in the days when the bands were full. My WX50, my first antenna that I put up in the 70s was wrapped around a tree branch. It was an insulated copper wire. Then I learned about insulators. Yeah. Where can I find FRS, GMRS frequencies for Canada? Just Google it. You'll find them. They're easy to find. You even have a Wikipedia article that gives you the frequencies. They're all in UHF range anyways. Mike Jam, awesome. You just saved the tree's life. Why did you chop down the tree? Oh, I'm listening to the radio. Trees are rather my friends. Personally, trees are really, really much more my friends when it comes to antennas in general. Chris, one question: can the MLA30 Plus operate on the correct type of portable power bank? Yeah, Chris, the problem with the power banks is really the fact that The MLE30 draws so little current that most power banks think there's nothing plugged in. It gives you an idea of how small the current is on that thing. So, have something else plugged in. Charge your phone at the same time or whatever. Because if you have a power bank and you put the MLE30 on, I don't know if there are power banks that don't have. I think most power banks kind of shut down when they detect nothing's on. So that's the biggest problem. I think that is probably the number one issue is, having. I know somebody, and I think it's on the Facebook group, told me that he had created a little circuit with an LED light and a USB socket. And what happened is he would plug that in, and just the power consumed by the LED on the board was enough to keep it alive with his MLA30. But it works great. If you can find a power bank in some way, it works great. Salut TVD Extra. Fais attention à toi. Take care. See you Saturday. Robert Cross, we had lightning on Monday and we got it really bad. Been afraid lightning come into the house. I took in my long wire, put it back out last night. Yeah, it's not. You shouldn't be worried about that with a long wire. Honestly, if lightning would be in the vicinity close enough for your long wire, uh, long wire or not, you're in trouble because lightning is hitting just next to you. So don't worry about it. Of course, if it makes you feel good and it's not too much complicated, fine. But you shouldn't be worried of a long wire being outside, even in bad storms. Like I said, if the lightning is close enough to hit your long wire, first of all, their long wire is probably going to vaporize because it doesn't have enough. It's the size isn't big enough to bring in lightning. And if it's close enough, if it's close to the point where lightning is hit the wire, you probably have everything in your home blow up because it's too close. And the long wire is not going to, attract lightning or anything. Kevin, happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for the knowledge, kindness, and community. Cool. It's always nice to be here. Danny Shortwave, while in Florida, I bought a slingshot. Plan to use it and launch a long wire as high as I can on a nearby tree, shooting for 60 feet high. Video coming soon. That reminds me of the big maple tree I've got in my front yard here, and but it's actually on the front yard of the next door neighbor. The first outdoor antenna that I had serious here for shortwave, I had put a weight and I threw it in that tree, and it was probably a good 40, 45 feet up, if not more. And it was my main antenna for a long time. And it snapped one day. Well, it's been there. When it snapped, the wire had been there for probably 4 or 5 years already. So, the wear and tear. And the tree, when it's windy, that's a huge tree. When it's windy, it's like the wire was really swinging from left to right crazy. And I was always giving it enough slack for that. But one day, part of it, the part that I tied on the balcony ramp was there, and the rest was in the tree. It was like, oh, I guess it snapped today. But probably from the 4 or 5 years of swinging, being in the sun, all the elements, it became weaker and weaker. But you're gonna have some fun with that for sure. I'm pretty sure. Once again, for those that missed it, the Ethon HD New Ethon satellite HD radio is out. It's officially arrived at different stores. I know that Ham Radio Outlet has it. It's being sold for $599. So you know what? I'll see what I can do to get one. I would like to have one from a Canadian retailer for multiple reasons. It's probably going to cost me less if it would. Unfortunately, there's no Canadian retailers that I can see that has or will have one. So for now, it seems to be if I want one, it has to come from the US. Um, like I was saying, $5.99 plus the currency exchange rate plus the taxes I'll have to pay and the shipping. For me, it puts it at a little more than $1,000 Canadian, which is a lot of money for a radio. So I'll think about it. I'll see what I can do, and who knows in the coming weeks what's going to happen. Uh, I'll be thinking about it for sure. So I'll be thinking about it. We'll really see what's going to happen with that. But it's so much money for something that one of the other reasons why maybe I'm in the process of I'm not sure is also because when you get to $1,000, it's a lot of money, and what happens is that you have other things now with my ham radio license. One of the things that I'm thinking of is maybe getting some nice transceiver, and that will be in the 1,000 plus category also. So it's like it'll be one or the other, because both is kind of a lot of money. So we'll see, anyways. But if you guys want one, it's starting to get available everywhere, and it for those that have been waiting for it, well, I guess you guys are gonna get the radio soon, and can't wait to see what people think about it. It's gonna be interesting. Can't wait to see also the good reviewers online what they're gonna say about it and if it's worth the price. I mean, $600 is getting a lot of money. We already have a price point with like the Texan H501X, where a lot of people are like, wow, $298, $300 for a radio is a lot of money. So imagine $600. It's even worse. So James only got a basic rail antenna, which does help at least sometimes. I've been thinking about getting something else, but I need to look into that more. The real antenna is pretty good, and especially on portable radios, it gives it great performance. Um, it'll all depend on what you have as noise level around you, because long wire is great if it's low noise around you, but if it's high noise, then maybe a magnetic loop like the MLE 30, something like that, could be something to think about. Depends on the noise level, really. Robert Cross, thank you for the tip for new radio. So we'll see. We're gonna check it out. Check it out. What we're gonna do with that new Ethon receiver. I know a lot of people would probably enjoy a lot that I do a review of it with my honest side of whatever price you paid for it. If it's junk, it's junk, and if it's good, it's good. And one thing for sure, we might be thinking about it, and we might be saying, "Oh, well, that must be the ultimate radio." Remember one thing is that the a lot of the less expensive receivers that everybody has, you'll get the same thing. An XH data will get the same signal that Ethon is going to get. It's just the extras that it comes with in terms of playing with that signal that might give it an edge, a little bit like a desktop receiver. But overall, it's not like you're getting something that is going to get that signal that you never heard before. The sensitivity, like I am always saying, sensitivity on these radios today has reached kind of a maximum point where you can't really go much more than that. You've reached the top of what sensitivity is all about. So we'll see. Um, Radioscapes, greetings from Sydney. Bought an MLA 30 Plus following a recommendation. Couldn't be happier. Thank you. Wow, cool. I mean, that antenna is so amazing for what it is. When you have when you have the a lot of noise around you. James, I know what you mean. I was considering a scanner, but would need a kind of an expensive model to pick up stuff here, so I'm not sure I really want to do. It depends on how serious and if it's going to give you the capabilities that you want. Chris, which new HF transceiver was you most interested in getting? I'm not sure yet. Was looking at maybe a um an Icom IC 7300 or some Yaesu of some sort, but I've not done my definite choice yet. I see a lot of positives and negatives on everything, so I'm trying to figure out which would be the best. And I'm willing to dish out a little more money because it's going to be my main transceiver, so it's going to be my main driver all the time. So I don't know yet. I'm not sure yet. Asteroid Skywave SSV is the best portable. No, really not. It's just an okay radio, but it has bad. The audio isn't great on the small speaker, and it's not as sensitive as a lot of other radios that are half the price. It works and it receives, and it with a clipped antenna on it, it's okay. But for the price, even no antenna jack for external antennas, I have a hard time with that. Yet, if you're looking for a portable that does shortwave and airband, and that you require no weather radio, well, yeah, okay, it's got it all for that, and it works okay. But it would never be my first recommendation ever, for sure. You've got a lot more value in the Texan receivers that are half the price than the Skywave. Then shortwave, I would get a nice transceiver instead. I'm going to pass on that Ethon radio myself. So he's looking at a Yaesu FT818ND. So, all right, JD Dakota, do remember hearing some amazing things on a simple 4-band radio? Yep. Kimberly, are you into Parks on the Air? No, not yet. I haven't done anything like that yet, but I could easily with all with all the capabilities here. So definitely is there's a lot of fun in being. One of my biggest problems is always and will always be for the time now is really the amount of time I have to do all. You guys know that my VHF channel I rebranded as VE2ZZI, my amateur radio call sign, but I have no time to do videos. I have so much time devoted into the tech channel, plus here, plus the live shows, plus being a caregiver, that I just have no time. So, but yeah, if I can find time, it must be a lot of fun, definitely. Radio Cats and Storms can do the same thing on my vintage DX390, TFP to low fishing, Yaesu new rig. It's not out yet. Skip, consider Elecraft, great transceivers. I'm going to check all of that. That definitely, I'm going to check everything. Bob, WA2SQQ 7300, hands down, transceiver is excellent. I almost got trigger happy with the finger on the trackpad of my laptop the other day. Radio World in Toronto had the ICOM 7300 on sale. It was like $400 off. And I saw the price and I was like, yeah. And my finger wanted to click the buy button. And I was like, yeah, still, with taxes, shipping, and everything, it's a lot of money. Relax, relax. Think about something for Christmas. Take the time to choose properly. Don't impulse buy something. I know a lot of people are happy with, the 7300, but I need to take time. Penny C, new to shortwave. Will the MLA30 help with indoor radio listening on the Texan PL 380? Apartment living does not allow for outdoor antenna setup. So Texan PL 380, if I remember well, does not have an external antenna jack, right? So it's a little trickier to kind of plug in an MLA30 on it. One thing for sure, for any apartment dweller, any condo dweller that cannot have anything outdoors, definitely MLA30 is your ultimate last chance of doing something indoors. So, yeah, that probably is your last chance. Unfortunately, that is the sad part of today. It's not like when I started 40 years ago. 40 years ago when I started, there was no noise. You could DX the world with a portable radio on telescopic inside your living room, which is not the case today. So it's just that it would be tricky to plug it into, because you'd have to find a way to plug it on the telescopic antenna. But yeah, an MLA30 is definitely the last chance you have of getting good reception indoors. That's definite. Keegan, Dad, is Dad W9JF has an ICOM IC 706 since 96 and an IC 7300 since 2019. Then shortwave, Gary Two Hands and a radio inspired me to get that radio and do some QRP. Love the low power contacts. Yeah, no external antenna. I'm willing to buy a Texan PL660 if it's better to get a decent reception indoors. Well, with a PL660, what you would get is, first of all, an antenna jack, which would make it easier to, it would make it easier to plug in that MLA30 with an adapter, because you need an adapter. And the PL660 would add another capability that you don't have in a 380. You'd be able to listen to single sideband signals, so pirate stations, amateur radio, utilities. So what I would do is, you could get a Texan PL660, get an MLA30, and put them together. That could be. PL660 has the advantage of not muting when you tune around also. For sure. You could look at the Texan PL330, which is very nice. Would make it easier to tune on the single sideband because of its precision and tuning plus calibration and frequency. Yet it mutes when you tune, so maybe that could be a problem for you when using the tuning knob. Rickshaw Jack says, went to a remote site with the Texan PL880. What a difference. I could hear all sorts of stuff I can't hear at home. Yeah, and that is the problem. That is the problem. The big problem is that you go somewhere where it's super quiet. You turn on the radio. and you hear all this stuff that you don't hear at home. And you see that the bands are not dead. I say that all the time when people say the bands are dead. There's nothing on shortwave. Get out of your RFI bubble of your home and go into a park or go somewhere where it's quiet, and you'll see that. Oh, look at that! There's a lot of stuff there. It's just washed out in that noise. I mean, I go to the park, and listening to the BBC World Service is the easiest thing in the world. Yeah, it's not super strong, but it is. It doesn't need to be. It's easy to understand whatever they're saying, even with that weaker signal. And if I'd have that here, oh man, I'd be so happy. I'd be in love with my radios like I haven't been in a long time, because the noise washes out everything. You get that radio somewhere, and it's like, wow, look at all this stuff. You come back home, you're almost depressed. It's like, yeah, okay. And that's where I often say, well, look, you're gonna have to start thinking that maybe you need to take walks, go to a park, um, you know, make it a fun trip, and have radio at the same time. That's where you see the huge difference between our noise and noisy homes and the middle of nowhere. You know, when I did my VE2 AQP club station for CIDX, you know what I noticed? The amount of people that hear me and replied back that I couldn't hear enough to give them any contacts. And I thought, wow, if my noise would be gone, I'd have more people that I could make contact with, because I don't know how many stations I actually told, sorry, man, I don't understand what you're saying at all. I hear you. You're there in that noise. I just can't make a contact. I imagine a parks on the air thing must be great, because you're in the middle of nowhere, and now suddenly that low noise, I'm sure it helps you tremendously, tremendously in making contacts. Justin, been using my shortwave radio outside. Was picking up fantastic conditions today for my shortwave antenna wire up in the tree. In the state of Virginia. Okay. Hey, Yogi. Good morning. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Let me just go down here. Dirt Road Reset. What are the advantages of spending thousands on a receiver such as a Drake R8B over a more modern SDR such as the RSP? Honestly, and I'll say it again and again, I do not see any advantages of buying an old desktop receiver. And frankly, anybody would tell me, I'd have the choice. I'd have only two choices in my life: get an RSPDX like I have now, or get a Drake R8B. And my choice wouldn't be complicated. I'd go with the RSPDX, because the SDR is, with all the functionalities and all the visuals that come with it. I mean, forget it. I don't want to have an old desktop receiver that gets one frequency. I would not want that anymore. That's for sure. Look, I got an ICOM ICRD 500. I got a Kenwood R5000. I'm not even turning them on, because if I have some radio listening that I want to do indoors, I'm turning on one of my SDRs. It's as simple as that. Asteroid coming. Nothing politics or language. Who cares about Bill 96? One more comment like that and you're banned. I'm very, very serious. No muting on the EPL 680. Absolutely, Anthony. Joseph, probably reception is better for people in a lot of the US since a lot of people in the US aren't in cities. The US is increasingly urban. Yeah, but you know what? Even if you're not in a big city, if you're in a small town and that small town, you're not that far away from your neighbors, plus your own electronics, your own home, and everything you have, it can still make a lot of noise. It could be very surprising the amount of noise even in those conditions. But depends where you live. That definitely. Some people have it much better than others, and that is definitely. RJD Dakota, that is indeed a problem. Noise factor is tremendous at home. Yep. Kimberly, I agree. Yep. Hey, Cool AM Radio. Nice to have you here, Andre. Danny Shortwave, while on vacation, I went back to a local park in Florida. Reception was great with no noise. Got to walk too. Yep. See you Saturday, Francis. Always nice to have you on board. Mike WX50. Bought a SDR player's PDX this past week. It has a bit of a learning curve, but it's been a lot of fun learning how to use it. Yeah, every SDR, it's not one more than the other. Whatever SDR you're going to choose and play with, there's a learning curve. It's learning the software, learning how to do stuff in it. But they are so much fun. So much fun. What else do we have? Justin, thank you very much for reading my comment. First time actually talking on your page. I enjoy everything what you do. Keep on doing a great job. Thank you very much, my friend. The road reset is N7PHX. Joseph, that's true, and increasingly so as our products get worse. Throwaway designs. Yep. Hey, John Beckham, nice to have you here from Northeast Florida. James, I suppose power outages can provide noise reduction for radio listening. Oh yeah, definitely. One of the things I always did everywhere that I went, that I lived, was always to have the capability of powering up my radios on battery in the in the event of a power outage, because wow, it's like going out at the park. Definitely a big power outage. I think the radio listeners that we are probably the only ones that are happy. Harvey says it reminded me of all the noise, especially with digital equipment around. House is ungrounded too. Third road reset. What are your thoughts on the new Ethon satellite radio that mimics the old E1XM? Yeah, well, it's definitely a upgrade from the old E1XM, because now it has HD radio and has some features that the old one didn't have. Not having any reviews yet, not knowing how it performs. It's tough to give any comment on it, honestly. And it's the only comment I have right now is it's in a high expensive price. Definitely. Chris G7VO. Yeah, you can filter out some local noise, but I can tell you one thing, Chris. Take that same 7300 and go at a park where there's no noise. You can see that it's still terribly bogged down by the noise around you, because it can't remove everything. It does a certain job with the DSP stuff, but it can't remove the noise, all of it. And if you go to a park or go to a place that in the out of town, you will see that 7300 is even more alive because you'll still have a lot of noise that bogs down the signals. Kimberly, I know you're busy. You can try to hunt park on the air on the side. Maybe you record a parks on the air activator you are trying to work and upload it. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I haven't, there's tons of things that I'm trying. I did one thing during the my vacation. I took my little handheld, my Yaesu FT65, and after watching quite a few videos, it kind of pumped me up to try to contact the repeater on the International Space Station. And every time that it passed by, I mean, I could hear the repeater so well, but I was never able to make a contact through it. But there were so many stations trying to contact that I think maybe one of my biggest problems was not that I might not be able to trigger it, but I was just washed out by all the other AMs that wanted to do it. So I still tried. I tried 3 days in a row. There were like 4 or 5 passes over me, and so I put the Yaesu in split reception with the correct tone for the transmit to trigger the repeater on the ISS. I had seen some YouTube videos of people having just a handheld and being able to contact. So I thought if they can do it with their little handheld, I can do it with my FT65. Definitely. One thing that was very interesting is I noticed how very good the antenna that's on the FT65 is actually, because it was receiving the International Space Station repeater much better than any of my scanner radios. And I give the that better reception probably because of the antenna being very tuned to the ham bands for transmit receive, where all the other ones that I have are general antennas like rubber ducky antennas or telescopics. I mean, the other ones were receiving it, but man, the FT65 was getting that station really, really well. That the International Space Station. So I tried 3 days in a row, thinking maybe I'll be happy and get through. I was not able, but still, it was a lot of fun to try. That was one of the things I did during the vacation. I tried that. Take care, Fred. And cool. Hope you'll be there, Fred, on Saturday. Stay safe. Always fun to have you on. Yeah, I'm going to try it out, Kimberly. Definitely. JD Dakota says, during an outage. My radio works best during an outage. John Beckham, I'm enjoying my little Reticus V111 as it picks up shortwave relatively well. Cool. Rob says, this is awesome. Trying to reach the ISS. Yeah. Plus, there was activation of the activation of you could talk to some to the ham operators on board also. There's actually an article that I saw today, an 8-year-old girl that contacted the ham station, the ham on the astronaut on the ham bands. Pretty cool. Justin, I think the nearest thing I got yesterday was South America. I talked to South America from Virginia on my CB radio and didn't even know I have no power on the sideband. I've seen a lot of guys contact Europe or even South America from North America and so on just using the standard power that the CB has, as long as you got a good antenna, and the conditions are great, and they've been pretty good recently. So it's very surprising. You don't necessarily need to have tons of power to do something. I am actually surprised with my rig, the Yaesu FT450 I've got here, and the end fed and wire antenna. I'm going to tell you, I am particularly surprised at how many stations in Europe I can contact. I seem to have a really good, clear path on that side because 20 meters, if there's some AM station from Europe calling, I'm there. I'm there. I have as much chance as anybody else with just 100 watts. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of the stations that I contacted was really, really nice. Um, RV says my Yaesu 857 is great, but for this old man, everything being menu driven is nuts. It's the reason I still prefer the old Kenwood 530. Radios have become very complex today, definitely, and these old radios are fun for that. Less bells and whistles, but great radios, easy to use because they are very straightforward, and what they have is features and filters, and definitely those radios of the past are great to use for that. But today's radios, I mean, look at my FT450. I don't know how many times I've read the manual and followed and looked at the stuff for the different menus. There was a station, you guys are going to laugh. There was a station from Saudi Arabia 2 weeks ago. I started contacting without knowing that he was working split. It's somebody that came on frequency and said the guy's split. He's working stations. He's listening on that frequency. I'm like, oh, sorry. I didn't know. And, the guy didn't mention it. It's like, always calling CQ. He was never mentioning it was split. I mean, come on, mention it regularly. It's not everybody that knows. So it took me half an hour to find how to use split on the FT450, going through the menu and saying, okay, I want to transmit there, but listen there. How do I do that? Going through the manual, going through all the instructions, going through the menus. I mean, it was just like, wow, okay. These things are totally complex today. Definitely they're complex. So, Dr. Sisov seems they're making radios, TVs, PCs, but new 2023 vehicles are delayed until sometime 2023. Chip shortage. But you know what? The chip shortage is slowly going away. A lot of manufacturers are saying that it's almost back to normal for most of the parts. So maybe for the cars, it's like maybe very specific needs that are still a little backed up. Solitary radio listener, nice to have you here from Southern Illinois. Chris says, Chris, whoops, I lost it. I lost where I was. Okay, here we go. Doesn't want to have to be smart at math to be a high-grade ham radio operator. I would say that you have to have a lot of have good memory. Knowledge is definitely going to help you. The math is definitely in there for the electronics, but it isn't that bad. Honestly, it isn't that bad. K6YL, glad you tried that. Yeah, for the fun. I didn't know if I'd get it or not. It's like making a contact. I remembered first time that I used my transceiver, the FT450, to make my first European contact. It was a big pileup. I called for half an hour. When it's your first contact, you're wondering if the station hears you and are you making it there because you're calling, but the pileup is so big. It's it's you're just washed out, and some stations, of course, use high power there. But you know what? After 30 minutes, when the station replied back, VE2 station, and I was me, it kind of that was the first time it really made me comfortable thinking, okay, it's working. It's my first European contact. It's working. I'm going out there. I'm getting my signal there. And then I tried almost every European station I contacted. So you know what? I'm kind of happy that with a very simple setup and fed wire, 100 watts, I'm making it, and it's kind of cool. I mean, the VD2 AQP, when I was working the club station, VD2 AQP, I got the station from Isle of Man. I was like, wow, okay, that's kind of cool. And it's not even a pileup or anything. I just calling CQ, and the guy comes back to me, Mike Zero. It's like, wow, okay, this is so cool. This is so cool. And and there's a few stations like that. Like when there was the Queen's Jubilee, I was so happy to make that special event station for the Queen's Jubilee. It was so much fun. And I mean, the guy was funny. He was always saying, 73s from the Queen's backyard. I was like, yeah, that's kind of fun. That's kind of funny. And but I was happy. There was a big pilot for that because that was a special event. And I mean, when I got the contact, wow, this is so cool. Just made a contact with the Queen's Jubilee special event station. So I'm kind of happy that I'm able to make these contacts with a very simple setup, and it is a lot of fun, and all done by voice. No FT8 or anything. All done by voice, SSB voice all the time. Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you on board from Greensville Park, Quebec, and I'm happy to be back. So, Sheldon, yeah, oh, cool. We'll have some stuff to talk about for the show. Hoping I don't mess up like I did a couple of weeks ago. Must be the vacation. For those that listen in to the International Radio Report, you might have noticed that 2 weeks ago the wrong show was playing. I guess I was too much in my vacation time. I was like, oops, uploaded the wrong show to the station's computer. At least the YouTube channel was good for that. Justin, my antenna is a Serial Tornado 2016 dipole antenna. Comes with fantastic, artificially made, really great antennas. So pretty cool. Harvey, gotta have the knobs. I appreciate the tech though. Yep. It's fun. I mean, the radios today have a lot of technology in them, a lot of capabilities. When you learn to use it well, definitely a lot of interesting stuff for that. But I think a lot of old timers probably prefer to have a good old transceiver that is simple to use. Just the knobs, no menus of anything. No computerized stuff. Just like the buttons. Click here, turn that. It's fine. And I think there will always be a need for that. Even the younger generation doesn't mean that they're. When I was doing my tech duties, one of the things I would hear often from people was like, well, the young generation today, you're gonna, you want to have a job in 10 years. And I always told everybody, I said, no, wait a minute. First of all, they don't know how to fix it. They know how to use it. And even using it, they're not that good. They know how to do what they want. But when it screws and when it doesn't work well, they have no idea what to do. They're not that good, actually. So it's the same with the new technologies. Some new hams might actually just want to have an old transceiver again because they want it simple. Maybe there'd even be a market for some manufacturer to just say, you know what, we're going to do a straightforward transceiver for those that just want to have a radio that works easy to use, and not all the computerized stuff around it. So what else do we have in here? If anybody leaving that I didn't see, do take care, my friends. What else do we have? So VT Radio, Paul, take care, my friend. Always nice to have you here. Take care, James. Don't forget, Saturday, guys, is the 40th anniversary show. It's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Solitary radio listener, sometimes simple is better. Yep. Richard Jack, good job on the contact. RV says simple is great. Dipole, 530 at 100 watts, and contacts from around the world. Nothing like it. Perfect. You don't need, all the bells and whistles to make John Beckham. Yeah, unfortunately, with the internet, Amazon and eBay, brick and mortar malls are experiencing closings. But you know what? We got to be careful, John, about Amazon and eBay. There was a discussion on that, but I seen a report talk about the brick and mortar stores and malls. And one of the biggest culprit is actually some stores that we know. For example, there was one study that said when a Walmart opens up in a city, it totally disrupts all the small stores, and all the small guys are starting to close, mostly because of the Walmart, much more than Amazon. You got to be very careful with that. It's not just buying online that kills stuff. Because a lot of people buy online, but will buy online stuff they don't find locally, which is what I do mostly. John Beckham, thanks for all your videos while on vacation. Yeah, well, from time to time, it was like, yeah, let's go. Keegan DXer, I noticed the earlier episode of the International Radio Report instead of the intended episodes of the day. After I realized this, I continued listening anyway. So, the funniest thing is I turned on the radio in pretty mid show, and I heard the Sportic E-Skip and FMDXing, and I thought, hey, that we didn't talk about that this week. It was like, oh God. Chris, you should have a switch to switch out the computer stuff. Solitary radio listener, there was a ham operator at over 60 years, lived about 2 miles from me. He died last week. His antennas are all down and his house is empty. Just that fast. Wow. Imagine all the radios and the transceivers and people not knowing what to do with them. Harvey Bingo Show, the whole thing about young kids being techie is a joke. I'm a Linux dude because I don't want to DOS doing more than I want to. Don't see many kids who can do much more than click icons. Yeah, you got to be careful with that. They're good at using what they use, definitely. But when something goes wrong, it's a different story. Chris, newcomers, G7VO says newcomers can get on the air at low cost with a boat anchor and a simple wire antenna. Don't have to spend a fortune. That is also something that I was thinking of when my sister was a ham operator in the 80s. There was that little phase where I was doing my shortwave listening, and she kind of pushed me a little bit back then, saying, you could go and get your ham license if you want to. Which, I did think of that it must be cool to be able to transmit and everything. I mean, it would probably have changed everything. Would I be here doing this if I had done that back then? I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it would have more of a ham aspect. Maybe it's just that would be different. But one of the things that was the problem back in the 80s was the price of a transceiver. It was expensive compared to today to get on the air. Much more when you take the relations of how much they cost for compared to today's dollars. Today you have ham transceivers that cost less in real price, and that means they are actually really cheap compared to what we would have paid in the 80s. It's like the portable radios we listen to. How many portable radios today are so good at a price that we could afford, we could listen to, and it's so different today. We can finally afford to listen easily, and the radios are much better than anyways whatever we had in the 70s and 80s that cost a fortune. It's crazy today. Dr. Sisop, yeah, here it doesn't work. We pay taxes anyways. Harvey, that's that part. So many things are no longer available locally. Yeah, that's for sure. Here we had one. I remember I went once with my brother about in the 90s. In the 90s. And the I was sad when I heard that the pretty much the only brick and mortar store in Montreal with amateur radio equipment closed down. And it closed down a long time ago. The only thing that was left for a while was Sheldon was operating Radio HF, so you could still get some stuff, not far from here. It was, with his store in Greenfield Park, and now even that is pretty much, out. It's getting more difficult to find stuff, and we have to buy online. I mean, my next transceiver, where I'm going to buy it? I'm going to buy it online, get it shipped here. That's where we go now. Zen Farrow's following along with the RSP Duo, FRG7, and new portable loop. Cool. Nice to have you here. Joe Michael, all the lockdowns affected a lot of stuff. I was actually talking to the taxi driver when we went for the to the hospital with my friend. I was talking with the taxi driver about all the businesses that are closed down everywhere along the streets, the commercial streets here in Montreal. And I mean, the lockdown really, really had a big effect. Uncle Justin, KB2RMC, nice to have you here. Solitary radio listener, am I still thinking about the ICOM 7300? It is still part of my list of possible radios. Yes, but it's probably going to be something that I'm going to pay myself as a gift for Christmas. So I am also looking at other transceivers and other companies, other brands. I'm going to check it out. Performance and price and all of that together. Considering that it's probably going to be my main transceiver for a long, long time. So I want to make a good choice for sure. But I mean, my FT450 works great. It does a great job. It's just, I'd like to have something with a little more I don't know. I don't know. I'm aware that I probably will make the same contacts that the FT450, and um, but I don't know. I'm going to see. John says, always been fond of the 80s with all the great music, and life was much more innocent back then, it seemed. Yeah, it's a different thing. We were all interconnected, learning the computers with the first computers. Actually, one of the things I did a lot with my vacation, which I found a lot of fun, was to play games and play around with my Amiga 500 and my Commodore 128. I had really a lot of fun playing back some of the old games from the 80s and just relaxing with that also. Justin, I agree with you too. I like the old radios and new stuff. I have two of them. I have a North Star NS95 CB radio. Love it, and it's like a Bose stereo comes in great. You know, um, New stuff is also cool, definitely, but it's not for everybody. I would guess. Harvey says same with repair. Um, definitely, definitely. Learn how to and it's getting so much difficult today to find anything to repair. Also, RGA Dakota key word is listening easily. Noise is a huge factor, as you pointed out earlier. Yep, definitely, definitely. It is really, really a big problem for that. John, I'm still enjoying your ATS 25s. I have always been intrigued by its colorful display. Yeah, I'm having fun with it. I'm having fun. One of the things also that I did, and I was able to do it. So here's the story of one antenna down right now. I had my Tram 1411 discount in the front balcony. And even though it was working pretty good for the local stuff, my main VHF UHF listening, and it's really, I've resumed my VHF UHF listening to only very, very specific things, and most of it is ham satellites. For some reason, and it could be the position where it was, the tram was not good on satellite reception. I have a much better reception on my vertical in the backyard, my 99 cents antenna for satellite, which is the mobile vertical on a metal shed. So, since I was not listening to anything VHF UHF in the office, I thought, okay, well, if I take the antenna down, it gives me a cable that I can actually plug to my multicoupler, and with an adapter, I could listen to shortwave with the MLA30, even outside on the balcony in the front on any radio. So I thought, you know what? Temporarily, while maybe I think of a way to position it better, I took down the Tram 1411, which wasn't used anyway. Sorry, dry throat here. So I took it down, but I took the occasion to use that shielded cable that I was using with it to plug it on the multicoupler. So now I have a reception with the MLE30 on the front balcony, which is really great. And actually, the first radio I used to try it was the ATS 25. I had a lot of fun doing it with that, so it was kind of cool. Really, a lot of fun. So the Tram 1411 is going to be installed somewhere else. I'm going to try it somewhere else. But I have to say, I'm not doing much VHF UHF lately. And if I do VHF UHF, I am pretty much, using my little portables like the ICOM ICR30, and my old realistic scanners and stuff like that. So for now, I'm mostly at the HF part, but we'll see how I can maybe set up the Tram 1411 again. Cool AM radio. Can anyone check 6870 USB if mixed radio is still on? Let's check it out. 6.870. Upper sideband. Do I have something here? I have absolutely no signal here. So if he is on, I'm not getting anything. So, hey guys, we've been on for what, 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm a little tired with getting very, very, very early this morning. John, can you tell me who broadcasts on 5845? 5845. I've got something on 5850, which is WRMI. Because 5845. I hear something. I do hear something. There's definitely something on 5845. I think. So 5845. Let me just check here. There shouldn't be anything at this time. Are you sure you're not hearing 5850 right next to it? Out of curiosity. If your filter is very wide, you might be hearing WRMI 5850, actually. Hey, Christian Marcoux. I think I saw you earlier, but forgot to say hello from North Bay, Ontario. But I'm wondering if you're not getting 5850, actually. Because here, 5845, there's nothing, at least nothing on the list. So, okay, guys. RV, what do you think of the WS1040 scanner? I hear a lot of good things. It's just very, it's a little expensive. So you got to make sure that you will be able to listen to stuff on it. So, take care, everyone. Don't forget, 40th anniversary show coming up Saturday. It's at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And it's 20 hours Universal time. We're going to have a lot of fun. We'll tune around a good old DX100, which was my first real radio. And it's going to be a lot of fun to do that show and go back in nostalgia and all of that Saturday. So just distracted by your chat room a little bit here. So 4 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours UTC Saturday. Hope you can make it. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, okay, so it was 5850. It's easy when the filter is too wide to sometimes hear something and think it's there, for sure. So stay safe, everybody. Love you all. And see you Saturday for the 40th anniversary of this guy's shortwave listening. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Bye, everyone.